No, I played a D1 college goalkeeper for like a year and grew up, playing sports in high school and, it was nothing like this. Always was really trim and in shape. So it was a big surprise. One day you wake up and you're 300 pounds. It's like, what the hell just happened?
More than 73% of Americans have overweight or obesity, while more than 12% have food insecurity. America is getting heavier, sicker, and more isolated from each other every day. Our motto, Move, Eat, Give, reflects our belief that virtually every problem in America could be fixed if we took better care of ourselves and took better care of each other. Welcome to Interrupt Hunger's Move, Eat, Give podcast, where we talk with experts in exercise is medicine, food is medicine, and food insecurity. And understanding that knowledge isn't always enough to help you lose weight. Every other episode showcases someone who's lost at least 10% body weight to share exactly how they did it. Interrupt Hunger is a 501c3 nonprofit which helps you lose weight while feeding the hungry. Bring our free 12-week weight loss challenge and donate your weight program to the places you live, work, and pray. We fund our mission with sales from our Move, Eat, Give bracelets and clothing, so please visit us at interrupthunger.org to show your support. 50 meals are donated for every item sold to the nation's largest hunger relief network. So you get to look good while feeling good. Now on to today's episode.
Our bodies were made to move, and they were made to store fat. They weren't made to lose weight, which is exactly why we've got, almost 3/4 of Americans are overweight or obese. So whenever I come across somebody, has successfully lost some pounds, I like to pay attention and just kind of dig in and find out, like, how did you do it when, so many tens of millions of Americans are struggling with it? So if you don't mind just kind of introducing yourself, and with your intro, if you'll just tell us your family dynamics, your age, and your professional dynamics, just to give people an idea of who you are, what it's like living in your shoes. But then hopefully we get enough of these podcasts and enough weight loss success stories here that someone out in the audience will be able to relate, like, oh my gosh, like, this guy is me.
Right.
So that's what we're shooting for here. So with that, tell us about yourself if you don't mind.
My name is Jeremy Johnson. I'm 54 years old, live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Got a couple of kids. They're in their young 20s now. And I think not unlike some guys my age, you just start packing on some weight. You don't even notice you're doing it, and I'm in sales. So on and off through my career, I've been more active than others, because I was doing outside sales for a while. Now I'm doing inside sales. So a little bit more, what do you call it? Stuck to the desk, so to speak, which is a lot of people can relate, even if they're not in sales. I think for me, it just was a case of not changing with my life as it changed, right? So I didn't change how I ate when I got more desk, what do you call it? When you're tied to your desk, I didn't change my eating habits, but my movement went down. But I think for me, and I think this is going to resonate with a lot more people, is for me, I had to find out why I gained weight, because I only got heavy within the last 4 years. About the time I turned 50 is when I started really getting heavy, and I got all the way up to 306 pounds. And
how tall are you?
I'm 6'2", so that's still pretty thick. My before and after pictures, even right now, after losing 50 pounds, is pretty dramatic. What I noticed and what I had to take stock in is that I was like a lot of people. I ate when I was bored. I ate when I was stressed, and I ate when I wasn't happy. And I had gone through a bit of a period with a significant other that was a little stressful, and it lasted for a few years. And I found myself trying to, I think, self-regulate with food for a while, just trying to feel a little better. And didn't really notice I put it on, except for when I started trying to walk around breathing heavy and couldn't catch my breath, and some really bad side effects I started noticing. So.
And you never had that before?
No, gosh,
that was new for you.
No. I played a D1 college goalkeeper for like a year and grew up, playing sports in high school, and it was nothing like this. Always was really trim and in shape. So it was a big surprise. One day you wake up and you're 300 pounds. It's like, what the hell just happened?
It just like age, it just creeps up on you ever so slowly, and then one day, like, what? I can't be 51.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell us about the turning point, if you don't mind, because most people that I've talked to have lost, I would say, 10% or more body weight. It was a single point in time. Something it like flipped the switch, and moving
Right.
forward, things were just different. So tell us about your trigger point.
Yeah, mine was kind of a combination of, I think, emotional trigger and physical trigger, because I had a couple of things happen while I was heavy when I would move around that kind of scared me, because I already have a little bit of exercise induced asthma originally. But what I was noticing is my heart, if I tried to do something really active, I felt strained. You know what I mean? Like I felt like my heart felt strained, um, and I couldn't catch my breath very easily, for a while after exercise, or it wasn't even exercise, just moving regularly, going up a flight of stairs, or, walking from here to there. And it started to scare me. And I knew I had to kind of get a handle on it, but I wasn't sure, it was like always tomorrow. Oh, I'll start taking care of that tomorrow. But I think the emotional trigger was my significant other that I was with. Um, they left, and I had a lot of time on my hands, and I just decided that I wasn't going to do anything spectacular. I was just going to start walking, just take a walk. I was living on a lake, and the loop was 1 mile, point one. And I said, I'll start by just walking the loop, and then before I knew it, I was walking the loop, 2 times, 3 times, and I was doing it every day, and it gave me time to think. And it was, it was kind of a good dynamic of my time, or a good use of the time I had that was extra. The other thing I did was I had to just cut portions. I mean, I would eat, like a whole frozen pizza by myself, you know what I mean? And I went from that to eating maybe 2 small pieces, pizza for lunch or something. So it was that easy. I mean, really, it was just a little bit of portion control and a little bit of extra exercise. I didn't do anything real extreme. I'm not a runner. I don't like to run. So it was all walking, and I lost approximately 52 pounds.
Wow,
So
50,
yeah,
52 pounds is a lot.
yeah.
So
I believe me, I feel it. I feel it quite a bit as a relief. Yeah, off my heart.
so
So
so like 52 pounds over what kind of time frame?
let's see. The bulk of it I lost between January and April. So what, like 3-4 months, maybe? Yeah,
And
it was a lot at once. But you know what? I think it's kind of stabilized. I think everybody has like peaks and valleys with their working out and stuff. And currently I'm doing anywhere from about 40 to 53 minutes of walking, probably 5 to 6 times a week. So maybe all week, except for maybe a day or two, depending. And I'm doing 4 days. Every other day is some resistance workouts. But yeah, I haven't lost a lot since April. I've pretty much been around 245, and I'd like to lose about another 30, to be honest.
Okay.
But I had moved, and I think I had to kind of get control of the move. You know what I mean? Like I had to get settled. I had to kind of get control of my food again, which is, I think, the whole thing. The walking started very easily, but then I noticed I was eating more sugar, and I thought, okay, got to start getting back to what I was doing 3 months ago, or 3 or 4 months ago, when everything was moving in the right direction. So
Yeah, so like losing weight is the easy part up front. It's
keeping it
maintaining
off.
it
Yeah.
and keeping it off, because that initial motivation, I mean, no matter how strong it is,
Right.
it wears off, right?
It wanes. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it doesn't help that we're getting older too, because I think your age, there's a natural progression of loss of motivation, or a loss of, energy, I think, in general, if you don't stay on top of it. So you're fighting a couple of battles. Yeah.
Once I hit 40, man, like before when I was younger, I'd put on a few pounds and then like, oh wow, I'm getting up there. I need to start, get into it. And then the weight would come off pretty easily. Well, you hit 40 and then 45, and every year after that, it doesn't come off so easily.
No, it doesn't. No. And it doesn't help either that, every year that we get older, we lose part of our muscle mass. So we're replacing the lean body mass, which actually weighs more than the fat does, with fat. So it seems like we're actually, even if we're staying the same, we're actually getting fatter, because even if our weight's the same, muscle weighs more than fat. So, and that's why people have trouble. I think when they don't do resistance exercise in coordination with any kind of a, low impact weight loss program, like, you guys advocate at Interrupt Hunger, even if you're just walking, you got to do something to save your muscle mass, because if you don't, it's going to get catabolized with the fat. So
Yeah.
that's what happened. People will lose maybe 15 pounds in fat and feel all good, and then they gain it back. But what they did is they lost about half of it in lean muscle mass. And when they gain that 15 back, it's all fat. So
Yeah.
now they're light, lean muscle, and they're heavy another,
Yeah.
6 or 8 pounds. So
Oh, totally. Yeah. So let's talk about the exercise for a little
sure.
bit, because I love that you said that you just started walking,
Yeah.
because so many people think you got to go like hardcore and become a gym rat and start running.
Right.
And that's so far from like where they are in their head. And I think so it's actually like the expectations on themselves that they put on themselves is too much. And it's just really easy to say, like, I can't be that person right now, so I'm not even going to try.
Right.
But you look, I mean, there's just thousands of clinical trials and studies in scientific journals. Walking, that's all
Yeah.
you need. That's all. I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely a dose response to exercise. The more you exercise, the better your health benefits. All you need is walking. I mean, the
Right.
recommendations 150 minutes of walking. That's
Yeah.
a week. That's 30 minutes, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And once you get into a new routine, then you can add a couple days of resistance. So you're
Mm-hmm.
walking, like you said, what, 45, 50 minutes, 5 days a week or so. And
Yep.
then your resistance, what was that like? You were talking about resistance exercise.
Yeah, early on it was very light. I mean, I was doing stuff in the home, right? I just bought some light dumbbells and had a few things, and it was really just to preserve the lean body mass. I wasn't trying to gain anything, and I had grown up lifting weights, but I might have just had some 15s or 20s and use that from everything from, overhead presses to curls to tricep kickbacks. Just what I did was try to just hit all the major muscle groups. I wasn't trying to hit a lot of little tiny things, like a bodybuilder would. It was pretty much chest, quads, hamstrings, tricep, bicep. You know what I mean? And maybe, some shoulders if I felt like it, but it was all really lightweight stuff. But now I'm doing a little bit more now. But it for the first 2 or 3 months, it was just trying to keep from burning up my own lean body mass as I'm losing fat. So yeah,
I don't think it matters what you do in the beginning. Your goal is just to create a new habit,
yeah,
just so you can keep that going. And then, if you get bored doing something, you add something, or you try and you're like, oh, I want to try this. And so you do something a little different, and you just go from there. So so you're walking 45, 50 minutes a day. And what'd you say resistance wise? Like about 4 days?
Yeah, just every other day.
So how
So
long do you think that was taking you? 30 minutes, 45 minutes?
30.
Right?
Yeah, because I broke it up into body parts. I would do like a not to be too crazy, but I would do like a back and bicep day with maybe some shoulders, and then I would do like some body weight squats with chest press and triceps day. You know what I mean? So, and it would just be 30 minutes. I wasn't doing a ton. I was doing maybe 3 sets of 10, maybe 1 or 2 exercises. It's very, very small amounts of resistance exercises.
What about like time of day? When were you walking, and when were you doing the resistance?
Yeah, it fluctuated, right? Because of like how I felt, and it depends on the kind of person you are, right? A lot of people are morning people, or can't. I'm not a morning person, so a lot of times I would work out after work. I always walk after work, um, but depends on my work schedule. If I do the weights in the morning or if I do them at night, I like to get the weights in before especially if it's a day that I walk and I lift, because I do take every other day off from the resistance exercises. And I got to be honest with you, for me, for my age, and now especially the weight that I'm pushing around now, I kind of need that day off, just to kind of heal, and because I'm 54, and it's just it makes me feel better, and I feel stronger the
You
next
feel
day when
it?
you come back. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's right now I think I'm doing maybe like, it's still not real heavy. I'm doing like dumbbell chest presses with 45s, and just doing curls with 25s, and but I'll do you know 2 different exercises with 6 sets a piece, and I'm doing more reps obviously, and and just to keep the burn going for afterwards. A little bit of more of a hit routine where you're hitting it kind of high intensity. But yeah, it's short, and I usually take about a minute to 2 minutes in between sets.
There you go.
So
Nothing
yeah,
special, right? Just
nope,
nothing
just
special
about
at
30
all.
minutes. It's really short, so it's
Last
easy.
question on the exercise. You said you were doing some walking at night. Is it before dinner, after dinner?
I would do both. It depended. Like early on when I lost the bulk of the weight, it was before dinner. I would just right after work when I got home, I would just take off. I'd park the car and I wouldn't even go in. I'd
Yeah.
just start walking. And mostly because I was afraid if I got sat down, if I got kind of in and everything, then I would blow it off, right? So yeah, and that was it. Most of the time it was before I ate, and it still is actually. I prefer it that way. But sometimes I'll walk depending if I want to still get it in and maybe missed it and had maybe did something with the kids or went out to dinner with family or something. I've walked at 10 o'clock at night before, just with a flashlight. I mean, I'm not running and I'm not like, moving very fast, so I can be careful where I'm going. And, so and I'm in a nice neighborhood, so it's all good. So
Very good. All right, so let's switch to eating. So
love that.
there's a lot of different styles, I'll call them, whether it's keto, low carb, plant-based, vegetarian. So did you have a kind of a style of eating or a diet you were following, or just
I
generally
didn't.
talk to us about how'd your diet
Yeah,
change?
I didn't. I mean, I know you and I have similar backgrounds when it comes to what we did for a living, and so we were around physicians, and you'd hear everybody talking, and I mean, I saw everything from doctors even putting like a half a stick of butter in their coffee because they were doing some kind of crazy paleo thing. And I wasn't prepared to pay for a bunch of extra stuff. I wanted to see what I could do on my own because I do have a background in some of that from school, and I just decided to keep it easy. I just increased my exercise and my moving around, and I decreased my calories, and that was it. I didn't count the calories. All I did was buy a $26 bio scale. It does that really that low voltage current.
Bioimpedance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure that it's like a zero 0.5 degree of being off or whatever, but it gives you just an idea of what your body mass is compared to your fat and stuff. And I just kind of watched it and seen that the right numbers were going down or started going in the right direction. That was it. It wasn't anything fancy.
So I love this. You're just walking. You
Yeah.
started lifting some basic lifts that, most of us did in high
Anybody can
school.
do. Yeah.
You're not spending a ton of money on some high-tech gadget, like $26. So if you want to do that, go that route, you go to Walmart or Target or save more money if you just want to get a tape measure. Because,
Yeah.
we're hearing more and
Yeah.
more. People are
Right.
kind of shying away from BMI, but your waist measurement is a
Yeah.
really, really good tool. But then also if you get something inexpensive, the bioimpedance scales can measure your percent body fat. And it doesn't really matter how much it's off. Most of those they're good enough. But the
That's what
point
I'm
is,
saying. Yeah.
if you start whatever you start with in the same device, if you measure that and it's going in the right direction,
Right. Right.
that's all that matters.
Yeah, I thought it was fun to watch the other things it measured, but what I really watched was the pounds, just kind of drop and so
I think everything has to align. If you got a good exercise plan, whatever it is, just walking. If you
right.
start eating a little
Mhm.
healthier, trying to get a little bit more, an extra serving of fruit a day, an extra serving of veggies a day,
Right.
cutting out, cutting out most of the junk. If you just do that,
Yeah.
and if you can maintain that, but the problem is the next part is like life happens. You
Right.
you might have like an argument with a spouse, a partner, or you might have something going on at work, a big project.
Right.
Maybe somebody quit. Maybe your boss is on you. It just the kids going just insane. And sometimes you even put all that together, and it's almost impossible to maintain that
Yeah.
perfect little healthy lifestyle that you want. So
Mhm.
talk to us about stress. When some type of stress happened to you, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I kind of planned for that at the beginning because I knew if you can identify what kind of eater you are, I think, and I think by the time we get, I think if you're past your 30s, or in your 30s, I think you probably have an idea that you're a stress eater or a bored eater, or, but what I did is I downloaded one of the apps that's out there for meditation. And I used to do that. They would have them, you would just put it on your phone and I would lay down for like 10 minutes after work and let it talk to me. And I just do the breathing for like 10 minutes and that was it. I mean, I found that was really helpful for me. And I'm a pretty anxious person most of the time. So run pretty hot. So yeah, but that was huge, to be honest with you. That, and I got to be honest with you started talking to me about interrupt hunger early on. And, I had started gaining weight when we were still working together. And that's been probably, 5 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago. And that was about the time I started getting heavy.
In a minute.
And I kind of like the idea of doing something good for myself and also doing something good for somebody else. And I love the way that your group kind of connected that together. And yeah, so since then, it's been a good reminder, ever since. The food's a little bit tough sometimes, but I don't eat perfectly clean. I mean, even when I lost the 50, I was eating, a handful of Doritos for lunch, because nobody's going to, be perfectly clean if you're not just some kind of athlete but I was still losing weight because I wasn't eating half a bag or the whole bag or, it was just a handful, just.
You're being intentional about it.
Exactly. It's a great word, intentional.
That's all it is. So you talked about interrupt hunger a couple times. So, one of the neat things we've created with Interrupt Hunger is donate your weight. So the idea of whether you follow our program, I don't care. Whether you lost it on your own, you're going through the process, or maybe you already lost the pounds and you just want to give back. So donate your weight is pretty neat. You donate a dollar or more for every pound you lose to help fight hunger, and you pick one of the 200 Feeding America food banks around the country. So your donations are literally helping your neighbors. So you made a donation, and
to my home state of Ohio. Yeah.
Ohio. Yeah. Food bank in Ohio. And if I remember, so every dollar they receive, it's either 4 or 5 meals.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's 5 meals. So I think you made like a $50 donation, something like that.
Yeah.
So $50 at 5 meals per dollar. That's 250 meals.
It adds up. And I'm hoping to donate some more meals here soon. I'm really hoping to donate some more meals.
It's almost unbelievable what food banks are able to accomplish and how much they can stretch a dollar through, corporate giving and just food drives and people dropping off food and picking up leftovers from bakeries and grocery stores and government grants. So like, how does that make you feel knowing that like you help feed like potentially 250 people?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you're actively thinking about when you're passing up the ice cream, but I think when you're done and you can use that as kind of motivation on the days you don't feel like you really want to go or you don't feel like you want to walk. But I don't think there's anybody that's ever exercised and then didn't feel like it but did it anyway. I don't think you feel bad afterwards. I never did. You know what I mean? It's always like, I got it in, I did it. So,
today's Tuesday. Just yesterday, I've missed a few workout lifting days.
Yeah.
And so like Mondays and Thursdays are my lifting days just for conferences and travel and whatever, didn't feel good. So Monday I got in a really good lift and I was just thinking, I'm like, man, like just like the sun's brighter. The birds are chirping louder.
I don't know what that is.
Your kids don't bother you as much. Like life is just better.
Yeah.
And it's a heck of a way to start your day or start your week.
Yep. I think it has something to do with just like we do professionally, just accomplishment makes you feel successful. And it doesn't have to be just the money you make or the deal you just struck or the patients you just helped. It can also be the health that you're contributing to your own health or the health of your family who like for instance your daughters who see you working out and those are lifetime habits, and it's hard to start that if you don't have anybody to, kind of mimic those for you in front of you and often. So yeah, you're helping more people than you even know. I mean, you've been a nice inspiration to me with your health issues, but also you're attacking your health and making sure that you can control what you can control. And yeah, it doesn't matter what motivates you. It could be a friend like you and I. It could be a parent to a child to a dad. I mean, I've heard of dads whose children were great athletes coming up, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I got to do something." You know what I mean? Because I used to enjoy that myself, and it just reminded them to do something. So.
Totally agree. It's it's pretty cool. I've been posting a lot for a while, and just every once in a while, somebody you don't expect, somebody that doesn't comment or something on a post, they'll say something. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's people that are listening. So yeah, that's pretty neat. So just for the record, I know how you did it, but there's more and more prescription weight loss meds coming out. I think people are starting to feel more comfortable about different types of less invasive bariatric surgery. And then there's a lot of different, I think, specialists that you could go see to help you. Did you use any of that? Did you use medication, surgery? Did you go and see any type of specialist coach or anything like that?
I didn't, but I've had family that has. I had a cousin that did the bariatric surgery. He got pretty big, and he was a great athlete coming up too. He was, really good high school wrestler, and I don't know what happened with him, but there seemed to be something medical going on with him. It wasn't just like, I'm going to cut back on, some food and pick up a weight. It just didn't work for him. And some people do have imbalances in their hormones, and it's not always just look at somebody and say, oh, they're lazy. You know what I mean?
No, I think we're finally turning the corner from
that. Yeah.
Thankfully.
I think so too.
Because the reason why I brought it up, to let folks know that you actually were successful based on your lifestyle modifications, your behaviors.
Right.
But I will say that you are definitely not the norm. You're an outlier, and folks like you, because there's one of the craziest weight loss studies. If you want to lose 20% body weight and keep it off, you only have a 4% success rate.
Really? It's that low?
3%.
It really doesn't surprise me, actually.
So I think most people, maybe something big, some type of triggering event is going to happen to get you losing weight. But for you to lose weight successfully and maintain it over a period of months and then years, if you make it 5 years and you've capped a good chunk of that off, almost everybody is going to need a little help. They're going to need one of the new game-changing prescription meds out there. One of the, maybe you need prescription medication, maybe you need bariatric surgery, maybe you need both.
It's true,
it's even if you know the right things to eat, have a nutritionist there that you see every other week or even once a month, having a registered dietitian. Maybe it's some type of coach. Maybe it's going to, a lot of people think that they have to do it on their own. And it's just, it's really sad.
I don't hear many people doing it on their own and being successful. So,
so with that, we've covered a lot of ground. You've told us a lot. So thank you so much for really, being so vulnerable and transparent and opening yourself up to our audience. I can't tell how much I appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
I would just encourage people not to make too many changes, right? If you want to start doing something, change one thing, just walk. Just make sure you're doing one thing and then keep adding to it. That would be all I would say. Yeah.
Prove to yourself that.
Right.
You'll do it. Yep.
And don't make it too hard on yourself. It doesn't have to be like running at top speed for 60 minutes and then doing, a hit weight workout and, burpees all day long. It doesn't have to be like that. And I'm living proof of that.
And I appreciate you so much, Jeremy. Thank you very much. This has been a lot.
Bill. Yeah, it's been fun too. Thanks for asking.
Thanks so much for listening. Please rate and review the podcast on the platform of your choice so we can reach more people and more people are recommended this podcast. And if you really liked it, the single best way you can help us grow is by telling your friends. Now, for all the legal stuff. The views and opinion expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. For my day job, I'm an employee of AbbVie and appear on this podcast on my own accord and not in the professional capacity as an AbbVie employee. All viewpoints provided are my personal opinions and not intended to reflect those of my employer. If you have any questions or comments, please shoot me an email at jollie@interrupthunger.org. Let's go spread some joy, people.